Hey guys, thank you for joining me. Today's video is just going to be an impromptu sharing of a little bit of a mini dark night of the soul I've just went through. And I think these are common on the spiritual path as we're awakening, as we're diving deeper into our shadows and our unconsciousness. The shamanic journey, the hero's journey, is all about diving into your darkness and bringing the treasures back that you found there, and bringing those treasures back to share with your tribe. And that's what I feel is the conscious intention behind this channel and my blog, is to just bring you guys in real time through my journey and what I go through, so that you guys will have something to relate to and something you can learn from based on, everything, all my discoveries, mistakes, and just really my inner journey. And I think if you're watching this channel, clearly you're on an inner journey, so we can really resonate there. And if you're watching this channel, I'm sure you've been through some sort of dark night of the soul. I know I went through my big one, and it will never be that dark again for me. I can't imagine, for months. But since then, there's been a lot of smaller, shorter, and not quite as dark night of the souls. To where, what I mean by not quite as dark, when I was at my worst last night, the bottom might have been just as bad as I was months ago, but it didn't last long, right? And I have the tools and the resources and the presence and the space of peace to really observe it all from. So I don't, it's not the same experience at all. But it's more of like, instead of like, oh my God, I can't take this, I hate this, I want this to stop. It's just more of like, wow, this is fascinating. This is really dark. Wow, my mind is saying some awfully dark things right now. What the hell, And it's nice to be able to laugh about these things. I think that's the beauty of going through so much darkness on this path, is you're able to just kind of find the humor, even when things are seemingly impossibly dark. But as you guys know, if you've watched this channel, my big shadow that I've been working through, that the kundalini has really been helping me to work through, is one of codependency, I would say emotional insecurity, and like this feeling of abandonment. It's almost as if I'm starting to feel into this, like I've been abandoned in previous lives or something. Because even as a young child, I had constant nightmares. Like almost every night I would have a really horrific and horrifying nightmare, and I would like jump up and run to my parents' room screaming and like run into walls. I've always had this this fear, this terror in me, and I've purged so much of it through this process, which has been beautiful. I feel so much more spacious and free of it today than I ever have. And I want to try a metaphor out here. Let's see if it works. So, you know how when you do ayahuasca or mushrooms or psychedelics like that, science and people will say like the reason you go on this trip is because the medicine poisons you. That's why on ayahuasca you're throwing up. And this isn't poisoning you in a negative sense. It's poisoning you so that you can delve deep into your subconscious and to have a healing release. That's the intention behind these ceremonies, right? But nonetheless, it is still a poisoning. And I think on this journey that we all poison ourselves from time to time so that we can dive deeper into our shadows. I'll give you an example of what I did last night and the big cup of poison I decided to drink. So we have these relationships as we evolve and expand, and some empower us and really make us feel connected and enhance our well-being, right? And these are the relationships we're learning to form, while we're learning to let go of the relationships that are disempowering and that maybe we don't feel treated well, or maybe just, our emotional needs aren't met anymore in the way that is in alignment for us. And So as we ascend and we cultivate these new relationships, it's beautiful. But from time to time, if we start feeling disconnected and if we start going into our shadow just a little bit, we might get this pull to go back and reconnect with the old. And what I mean by it is like an old relationship that we realized no longer served us and was not just, as to distill it down, just didn't make us feel good anymore. So what we do because we're feeling disconnected is we might just have this unconscious movement, this unconscious pull to reconnect with an older relationship. And when we do that, we're going to encounter all of that energetic dissonance that really was the catalyst for us moving on in the first place, right? And so when we delve back into this old connection, it's gonna literally feel like we're drinking poison. And this isn't anything to do with the other person, because it's probably gonna have the same effect for them too. This isn't, they're not good enough for you anymore, anything like that, or someone's better or worse. This is just like two people that the universe is like, your soul contract is over, time to go your separate ways. And then the people trying to reunite before it's time, and there's just going to be that strong energetic rift, and it's just going to feel like poison. I even remember picking up my phone to call this person, my solar plexus just starting to feel really nauseous and sick, and I was just like, why am I doing this? But nonetheless, that is part of going into the darkness. Going into your darkness also means going into your unconsciousness to really explore and to heal, because sometimes we have to go really deep into the darkness to fully heal and to fully release this darkness and transmute it into the light. And sometimes this means like we're gonna just drink a glass of poison. And I think this metaphor works pretty good, because through reconnecting with this old relationship, and I want to preface this relationship, and this is true for me, could have been really aligned and healthy and vibrant and empowering for you at one point. So it's not necessarily even the person, it's just timing, and just where you are on your journey and where they're at on their journey. So when we go back into this old energetic pattern, it's gonna bring up this feeling like we just drank a glass of poison. But because we decided to drink the poison, we get to feel into the shadow in a much deeper and intimate way. And like, I just feel so much more cleared of it now. I was really rock bottom after the interaction last night, and it was really rough. Like, at one point I was having like just so much darkness rushing through my brain. I was just like, what the fuck is this? But through going to those depths and through experiencing that just darkness, I feel so much more free of it now, because it's so much more clear. I emerged from the darkness with so much more clarity about what serves me and what doesn't. And now it just feels like less of a choice even to do what's good for me. Whereas I think before, it was always a decision that I'd have to consciously make to, this type of relationship serves me and this one doesn't. And now it's just become so much more clear, like, oh, I'm just going to live in alignment from now on, and like not let my mind and ego try to persuade me and convince me that I need to go back to the old way, right? Because that's what the ego and the mind will like to do sometimes, because it's more comfortable. Letting go is not as comfortable as hanging on for the ego and the mind. But when we do let go, it just feels so much better, and you're going to feel this peace, and your energy is just going to flow, and you're going to be in alignment, and you're going to find this place of just trust, because the universe does show you when you let go that it's the most powerful thing you can do. Just like it shows you when you try to go down a road that no longer serves you, that it's going to bring up a lot of unconsciousness and darkness for you to see. But that's good. That's a good thing too. So don't be hard on yourself if this happens. It's part of the journey. It's definitely a reoccurring thing for me that happens is I'll do something that it is I'll like follow an unconscious pattern that just has so much momentum. Like maybe I'm aware of it, but it just has so much momentum that I don't quite have the presence to stop it yet, you know? And that's okay because it takes us deep into our shadow so we can learn more about why we do the things we do and why we behave the way we do. And what it shined a light on for me is that I was probably abandoned in like several previous lifetimes. And like that might be where this huge codependent and like kind of this emotionally insecure shadow has come from that I've been really working through to integrate into the light. So there's always a lesson, there's always a dark night of the soul experience, whether it's a one night, one day, a week, a month, a year, I would have to say, in my experience, are some of the most, if not the most enriching experiences on the spiritual path. If we are able to surrender into it, and if we're able to fully open to this darkness without resistance, this can be so transformative, and your darkness is your power because you're going to come out of the darkness with so much more of a deeper knowing of who you really are and what you really want and what serves you, and your path into ascending your consciousness just becomes so much more clear. So in that way, Dark Night of the Soul is very empowering as long as we're willing to just go with it and understand that it's for our higher purpose and that it's not here to torture us or I know it feels like it at times, believe me, I've been there. But quick video, I hope this helps you guys if you're going through something similar. Just know that this is serving you, this is serving your highest good, and just try to keep an a witness perspective and see and ask yourself, how is this helping me to grow? What is the universe? What is my higher self trying to show me here? And this experience of going through a dark night of the soul will be extremely fruitful and will pay huge dividends in your spiritual journey. So thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing and liking. It's so much fun to grow it, to see this YouTube channel growing. It just really, it just brings so much joy to my heart. So thank you guys so much. I will see you in the next video. Namaste.